we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Yesterday, we have already talked about the first 2 stanzas. The first stanza is encouragement to the devas to listen to the discourse attentively. The second one is encouragement to the devas to protect human being with the metta. So now we have to continue the third stanza of Ratanasutta. Yankinchi vitam itawa hurava sakisuva yang ratanam panidam nano samang atitathagatina idam bi buddhe ratanam panidam idina sajena suti hotu. As we have explained yesterday, then we have to introduce word by word. We also have said this is Vajjisattva. That means telling the truth. We determine to become something. Then here we have the Pali words Yankinti Itawa Huranwa. Yankinti Witan Itawa Huranwa. The Ita means human realms. That means this realms. Because we all live in human realms. Hura in Pali it means Huranwa was the nominative case. So they are with accusative case, Huram. This is also all other realms. It means in the Deva realms, in the Brahma realms, including Garudas and Nagas realms. So any other realms apart from human realms. Then we also have Sakisuva. Sakisuva means actually this means Deva realms. Nano sama atitata gatina. That means there's no comparable one. Nothing compared to the Buddha. There's no other valuable or any other jewel compared to the Buddha. So here we have to introduce the meaning of Ratana in Pali. So as we have known, Ratana is a jewel, but this very simple translation. But here we have some definitions of Ratana in this point. The first one is Chitikata, highly esteemed. Now we can also understand it can make people pleased and happy or rejoice when seeing it or on getting it. So when we do feel happy, then we will use some jewelry. Also for happiness. Also it can please our minds. We were trying to get it. We were trying to see it. Then surely this is just for show, surely. Right? It does not come from our body. It's just external things. All these external things, it will make people's mind happy and pleasant. This is ordinary jewel. But here we talk about the Buddha. Buddha is also external. But if we can recollect Buddha's quality, it can be in our hearts. we can go anywhere together with the Buddha if we can keep the Buddha's quality in our hearts. That is Ratana. It also can make us pleased, happy, rejoice, delight. This is also called Titikata. So ordinary jewel can make us pleased or happy, but the jewel of the Buddha can make us more peaceful, more calmness, or can make us more valuable. Then Mahagata or Mahaga means high value. I don't know the price of jewel that much. Anyway, I can know it's very expensive, right? Like for example, diamond, ruby, jade. So when I was in Mandalay, jade market is not very far from our London school. But I have never visited the area. That's why I didn't know the price of the jade. This is also one of the Myanmar products. Also, ruby is also from Morocco, also Mandalay region. I have never been to Morocco also. Anyway, so we have many different types of jewel. People also wear jewelry. Also, it's expensive, high value, high price. If we just normal salary or normal earning, we cannot buy the one. That's called Mahaga, high price or high value. Then, as I have said before, although it's very high value, just for decoration, just for pleasing people buying. But what about Buddha? Of course, it's high value, right? We cannot buy the Buddha. So if we cannot recall Buddha's quality, we cannot buy. We must try very hard to know Buddha's quality, to recall Buddha's quality, to be successful in recollecting Buddha's quality. It takes time. That's why we can say it's a high value. Then another one is for other material like external jewelry, just ordinary jewelry, can upgrade our body, can beautify, can please, sure. But the jewel of the Buddha can be better. That means it can beautify our minds. It can beautify our minds also. It can make our mind pleased, calm, and happy. More valuable. Mahaga. Adula. Incomparable. So we may have many different types of jewelries. So different jewelry have different price. But anyway, we can limit the price. There's the price. There's some comparison. We can compare with some other things. We can, although we say incomparable, right? For example, like a diamond and a glass, right? We can say we can compare, but different price. Something similar to diamond. Although we also have many fake diamond. Also similarly, ruby, jades. We have many fake. Sometimes fake one is more beautiful, right? Forgery is more beautiful, but it's cheaper. So anyway, although we say this is the ordinary jewel is incomparable, but there is something compared to it. We can give some simile, comparing two different things. But the Buddha's jewel it is incomparable. We cannot compare with anybody. Especially Buddha's quality. In Ratanasutta, we just mentioned special quality of the Buddha. It doesn't mention individual Bhagavan and so forth. So this is the stanza talking about Buddha's jewel. It just mentioned very simple quality of the Buddha. Then here, when we talk about, for example, Arhan, the one who is free from defilements, we're going to compare. Ordinary jewel cannot eradicate any defilements in our minds, cannot subside any defilements in our minds. But the Buddha's jewel can subside defilements. For example, when I was in London school, I have to go for Bindabada to the houses. In one house, they write down one passage. When Lobha arises, I have a stronger devotion to the Buddha who has no Lobha. When I have dosa, I have more devotion to the Buddha who has no dosa. When I have Isa, jealousy, I have more devotion to the Buddha who does not have any jealousy. This is the description. We can imagine all other defilements. When we have Lobha, sure, it does not make our mind calm and peaceful. But when we can subside Lobha, we can calm down our minds. Lobha is also emotion. When dosa arises, it will get worse, right? Somehow Lobha look a little bit good. Lobha seems a little bit good. Because without Lobha, we cannot earn money, right? With Lobha, we can earn money. What about dosa? No use. It's totally useless. Just make problem. That is why when we talk about that, when we have a dosa, sure, we can have more devotion to the Buddha. So that means the Buddha has already eradicated all the defilements, including latent tendency, habit, and a hobby. For Arhat, they may have some habitual actions, although they don't get angry. What about the Buddha? Even he does not have habitual action produced by Lobha, dosa, or any defilements. That is why it's incomparable. For other jewel, there is something similar to that. For Buddha's jewel, incomparable. Then Dunlabha Dasana, difficult to see. Okay, I have already talked here, right? Although I was born in Myanmar, although we have some special area, we can get ruby, jade. I have seen jade because this is very easy, but not very far from our monastery. Also, some of my donors, devotees also selling jade. That's why I have seen jade. For about ruby, I have never seen any piece of ruby in my life so far. Also, we can get in Mandalay region, Mogul. I have never seen. So Dunlava Dasana, difficult to see. That is ordinary jewel. Like there were many other jewel like a diamond, pearl, or many other things. Then it also should difficult to see. We cannot find everywhere. Another one is okay. We have another thing. We have many stones here and there. We can see stones everywhere. But for about jewel, like for example, ruby, we cannot find anywhere easily. It's not as easy as stone we see on the way. Similarly, diamond is not that easy to see everywhere. That's why we call Dunlabha Dasana, difficult to see. Then this is the ordinary jewel. What about Buddha's jewel again? Of course, we have never seen the Buddha. We can practically experience how difficult it is to see the Buddha. So that means this is a special jewel. Those who have enough parami, those who are fortunate enough, can see the Buddha. But not only that, although we have seen the Buddha, we may have difficulty to have faith in the Buddha. Sometimes we will see with our normal eyes, flesh eye, we can say. We cannot see with our wisdom eyes. Actually, all the value of the Buddha, all the qualities of the Buddha is not come from our eyes, it comes from our hearts. When our hearts can accept Buddha's quality, we may have devotion to the Buddha. So you may have remember one passage talk to Venerable Kovida. Those who see Dhamma see me. The word I said that one. So that means when we can see the Dhamma, we can see the Buddha. Although we are sitting in front of the Buddha, if we don't have any experience of Dhamma, if we cannot see the Dhamma, we cannot see the Buddha. So to see the Dhamma is also difficult. Okay, let alone to see the Dhamma, right? To see Four Noble Truths or anything is very far. We should approach practical way. It's very difficult to see the nimitta, right? It's practical. There are many people, they don't believe that we can see the nimitta. Focus on the breath. Let alone nimitta. When I live in Pao, okay, because there are many people. They can see the light, they can see nimitta. I don't need to explain too much. When I go abroad, this is the problem. When I say focus on the breath, then okay, as long as you can know breathing is okay. Later when you are, the light will appear. Okay, what about the light you see? Keep focus on the breath. When I have this kind of instruction, they may ask, is it real? Can we see the light like this? Is mind make? They may have this kind of question. It's also very common. Nobody can believe that by merely focus on the breath, we can see the light. By using any logic, it's impossible. Right? You may have learned many logic. Whatever logic you use is impossible. There will be many scholars. They will say many different things about meditation. So they will not explain anything about the light or anything. Anyway, the main thing is, it's really difficult to see the Dhamma. As Buddha said, if we can see the Dhamma, we can see the Buddha. So Dunlabha Dasana, difficult to see. There's some process to see the Buddha. We have to practice to see the Buddha. So this is the first part we have to know, Dunlabha Dasana. The Anoma Sattha Paribhoga being used by superior one, the high class. Anoma Sattha means, okay, the superior living beings. Paribhoga means use. So that means we can use the Dhamma, we can use the Buddha when our parami is high. So sometimes when we talk about meditation, although we just say easier way to improve, But there are many people, they are not ready to accept. We can understand they are not mature yet. Sometimes, although we wait very long time, we're still the same. Doing the same things every day, making the same mistake every day. They continue their life without improving any single steps. So that means they are not worthy yet. So here the Dhamma or the Buddha. Here we actually is about the Buddha. Only superior one can use the jewel of the Buddha. So ordinary one cannot use that jewel. Whenever I talk about Buddha's quality, I also mention sometimes about some story. This is not my own story. This the story taught by Venerable Kovida, Tipitika Kovida. So actually, he published many books. One of the books talk about Buddha's quality. That I have read the one. I remember the story. An old man was to build very big pagoda. He was to be donor of pagoda. Then he has to buy a big land. Then in the very beginning, everything is smooth. When he was going to build, previous landowner come and make many problems. Then he has to go to this office, that office. There are many problems he has to solve. In the very beginning, he thought, oh, I'm going to build pagoda. So this is a wholesome. But now, by solving many problems, he has many unwholesome, many agusala. Worry, anxiety, hatred, anger, many problems. Then, fortunately, he met one bhikkhu. The bhikkhu just talked to him. Okay, if you cannot build pagoda like this, you can build pagoda in your heart. Then he say, okay, then what to do? Just trying to recollect Buddha's quality. Right? Arahant, the one who is far from defilements. Trying to keep it in your heart. Then wherever you go, you are with the Buddha. Another one is when we can recollect Buddha's quality, our body becomes shrine room. When we are young, our senior, including our teacher, sometimes talk about our morality, remind our morality. If somebody bound down you, if you don't think you are moral enough, chant Buddha's quality at the time. When they are bound down you, then that means they bound down your shrine room in your heart. That is the way we understand. I was childhood. I not say childhood. I was a teenager. So anyway, the main thing is only those who can understand Buddha's quality, who can keep in their hearts, who can keep Buddha's quality in their hearts, can use or can know the value of the Buddha. That's here Anoma Sattha Paribhogam is used by high class or high people. Then they are mentioned Nanasama Atitata Gatena, right? There's no comparable. There's nobody compared to the Buddha. We have that kind of statement in the stanza. Okay, we have to move to the next one. So there are is jewel that can help living beings to be free from cycle rebirths other than triple gems that can only be used by the wise. So that means, although we have many other jewels, all these jewels cannot help us to be free from cycle rebirth, samsara. So only the triple gem can help us to be free from cycle rebirth. This is also used by the wise. If we are unwise, we cannot use. For about ordinary jewel, if we have money, whether we are wise or unwise, we can get jewel. It will be different value. So wisdom is more valuable than money. We can buy the Buddha's jewel with wisdom, our own wisdom. If we are unwise, we cannot get the Buddha's jewel. So Rati Janana, this is another Pali definition. Rati means delights or pleasure. Jana means produce. It produces pleasure. As all other jewel can produce pleasure, the Buddha's jewel also can produce pleasure. I think it's more pleasurable. So, in the daily life, when we are going to go to very big assembly hall, some meeting, actually, as far as I know, when they have to go to some party or something like that, they have to wear very smart, right? Expensive one to show who they are and how they are worthy, how worthy they are. This is it in normal society. So although they bring or they wear very, very expensive clothes, very expensive jewelries, but when they see somebody wearing better than that, they cannot be happy. So that one is visible. Another one is risky. If we are wearing in public, like in Singapore, okay, no problem. It's safe and secure. It doesn't matter, right? Because you have very, very good security. Like if you wear jewelry when you go somewhere, other country, for example, at nighttime, when you go alone in a secluded place, sure, it's not sure. Even your life is not sure. Nobody can guarantee your life. Not only jewel, but also your life. That means external jewel is visible. It can cause unwholesome. Sometimes it can make us pleased. Sometimes it also make us uncomfortable. Sometimes it's risky. It depends on how we use. But internally, when we can use the jewel or the Buddha, this internal, nobody can see. Also, nobody can jealous of our ability, our wisdom. Calmness of the mind is in the heart. Nobody can see. Of course, when we have to face or encounter some difficulty, at the time, our calmness of the mind will be useful. At the time, we will know the value. But ordinarily, if we live normally, nobody can see. So that kind of thing happen. A group of merchants we can say the sailor. Actually, they are crossing the ocean. Then, unfortunately, it's very stormy. Also, very strong, very big wave. Then it strikes their boats frequently. Many of them screaming, terrible. Then only one man is very calm and quiet. Then they recognize he's sitting alone. All other are screaming, trembling. Why you are so calm and quiet? Of course, I have already taken refuge before I came here. I don't need to worry about it. Then all other sailors was approaching how to do that one. They learn from him. All of them take refuge. After that, they can overcome all this problem calmly, peacefully, harmoniously. They can come back. So this kind of things happen at the time of the Buddha. They came to see the Buddha. They also reported all the matter. Anyway, the main thing is Rati Chanana produce pleasure. It can be worldly pleasure. It also can be supreme pleasure, supramounting pleasure. It depends on how much we use. For example, Buddha's quality. If we can reflect Buddha's quality, we can attain only asset concentration. Based on that, we can also practice vipassana. We can also attain Sotapaddi, Sakarami, Anagami, up to Arhat. That's why it produces pleasure, stronger than ordinary jewel. So, okay, now we have to continue another one. There are two types of retina. Avunyanaka, an animate jewel, such as ruby, parts, and so on. So this one's very easy. We can find in the market. Savunyanaka, animate jewel, such as chine, horse, elephant, and so on. It depends on what we value. Ancient time, horse, elephant, they are valuable because they have to travel with a horse or with elephant. Of course, chine are valuable for all the parents. So these are called Savunyanaka jewel. We can say retina. We cannot say jewel. This is called retina, right? Then, okay, next one. There are also many different types of retina in the commentary. Actually, it will be a very long list if we go and check in the commentary. But also, it will be very, very messy for the listeners. Then here I just use only the Dhamma purpose. That's why I just pinpoint only something connected with the Dhamma. There are also two different types in accordance with the practice. Sekha, training one. Asekha, normal training. Here I have to explain a little bit more about Sekha. Sekha means the training one. For example, we are ordinary people. We have to practice 3 trainings. We are practitioners. This is called Sekha. Then we may have attained the first part and fruition knowledge. We have to continue practicing in order to achieve higher attainment. When we can attain Sakadagami path and fruition knowledge, again, we have to continue practicing in order to achieve Anagami Magga and Phala. If we can achieve Anagami path and fruition knowledge, we have to continue practicing. So up to Anagami, we call Sekha. Although we attain Anagami, not yet finished practicing. We have to continue. We are still training. Then, if we can attain hardship, it's called Asekha, normal training. We have already completed our training. So nothing to confirm, nothing to reconfirm, or nothing to redo, nothing to review. That's called Asekha. Then there are some questions about hardship, right? Then they also say, can Sotapanna retrace? That means Sotapanna cannot maintain their path functionally, they will become ordinary one, right? They have that kind of idea. It's impossible. Later, we can find one thing about in Ratanasutta. The Tinta Kilo Patoi Sito. See, actually, what Asamba can be like a family erected pillar. If pillar is erected, very firmly, although many rocks, many wind, also very strong winds blow it, it cannot move, it cannot shake. Similarly, if we have attained path and fruition knowledge, nothing can retrace it. We will remain in the same state. Then again, here we have to say, Arhat is no more training. After attaining Arhatship, they have already done they have already completed all the 3 trainings. Nothing to review, nothing to redo, nothing to reconfirm. That is asika. So these 2 are also called jewel. Of course, if we retain Sotapanna, this is really very precious. Let alone Sotapanna is very far, right? Even to see nimitta is very valuable for beginners. So sometimes we let alone nimitta. If we can see the light also, it's very precious, very precious for beginners. If we can see nimitta, sure, it becomes stronger. If we can attain jhana, if we can absorb our mind on the nimitta, it becomes stronger, more valuable, because it's not ready-made. We're going to buy in the market. We have to do by ourselves. We have to establish by ourselves. This is called Seika training. So after hardship, we don't need to do anything. Of course, there are some practitioners. They wish to practice samatha. They wish to attain the 8 attainments in order that they may be able to enter into Nirodha Samapatti, the cessation attainment. It will be some special cases. It doesn't mean they need it, but they wish to do it. Although they don't practice that one, it doesn't matter. Their life is sure already. Another one is Guna Mahata. Guna Mahanta. The greatness of quality. So the value of Ratana, we may have different grades, the different value, different carat, right? For about diamond, they call it carat, right? Anyway, then here we have to understand, according to the quality, greatness of the quality, there will be different value. For example, Savaka Aseka, disciple Aseka, that means Arhat. So for ordinary people, it's very high already. Okay, for your understanding, I should give one simile. When you are preschool, don't see those who have already graduated. So now we are preschooler. Then Arhat are graduated. They're far. Then again, Pajika Buddha and then Pajika Buddha Aseka, Lesser Buddha Aseka. Sometimes they also translate as silence Buddha or smaller Buddha or something like that. Anyway, Pajika Buddha, this is also Aseka, no more training. So compared to disciples, Pajika Buddhas are stronger. They are superior. They are greater in quality. Sammasambuddha Aseka, the enlightenment Buddhas Aseka. So we don't need to talk about too much, right? You have already know what's the Sammasambuddha Buddha. So after attaining Buddhahoods, he's the highest one in the world in quality. All the waterline quality or supramenting quality, he has attained all types of quality. So when we read his suttas, the sutta delivered by the Buddha, some of the suttas are for worldly affair. Sometimes just for the development of their wealth and their spiritual power for ordinary people. But there are many discourses delivered by the Buddha for the development of our minds and our wisdom. Then there are also many stanzas to practice, encouragement for practicing. Then there are also many guidelines how to practice. So the Buddha has many different qualities compared to Pajjika Buddha. Okay, we should actually elaborate one more thing about it. For example, the Buddha may have asaya nusaya jnana. That means the Buddha can know the attitudes and the tendency and the inclinations of living beings. That is when the Buddha can give instructions properly to proper people. That is why the listeners can practice easily. They could attain path and fruition knowledge easily. Okay, another one, Indriya Propriyata Jnana. The Buddha also have special insight, special knowledge that can know people's maturity of controlling faculties. So the Buddha can know which controlling faculties are stronger in that meditators, in that listeners, which faculties are very weak in that meditators. The Buddha can know exactly. After that, the Buddha can give the instruction to them exactly. That is why they can improve faster. Only the Buddha have this kind of ability, this kind of knowledge. Pajjika Buddha and Savaka and ordinary people cannot have that kind of knowledge. So, because of the greatness of quality, they are also called jewel. We call Ratana. Okay, now, in brief, these three types are animate jewels. They are living beings. They are also jewels. We can say Ratana. Sometimes when I use English word jewels, I'm not very that much comfortable, right? Ratana is more convenient for me. The jewel also can misunderstand. Ratana is a more meaning. I have already listed out the meaning of Ratana, right? More meaningful. Anyway, they are Ratana. They are animate Ratana. Okay, we should move to the next one. Okay, today this stands out with the last part, right? So Kayam, Virakam, Amadam, Banitam, Yarajaka Sakyamuni Samahito, Na Dena, Damena, Samati Kinchi. That's cessation, that's detachment, that's deathless. Here we also do deathless, right? As Amadam. And Nibbana, supreme. The calm and unqualified second stage, the Buddha had realized. Actually, here, calm and unqualified second stage, that means Sakyamuni Samahito. Actually, Samahito can be translated as concentrated. Then there is not comparable to this Nibbana Dhamma. The precepts jewel is the Dhamma by this aspiration of the truth. May there be happiness. This is also Vajjisattva. This stanza explains something about Dhamma jewel. Prabhava is a Buddha jewel. So here we may have 2 stanzas for Dhamma jewel, 3 stanzas for Buddha jewel. All the rest of stanzas are for Sangha jewels. Okay, now we have to move the next one. So Kayam, cessation. So it is a complete cessation of lust. Here I just talk about lust because actually kayami cessations of all the defilements. When we talk about the Dhamma, we have to understand 10 different types of Dhamma. The first one is 4 paths. Another one is 4 fruition, altogether 8. After that, Nibbana. This is also called Dhamma. The last one is Pariyati, learning. This is also called Dhamma. So when we talk about Dhamma's quality also, we have to review all these 10. But here, the Buddha talk about Nibbana Dhamma. Kayam, cessation. So Nibbana is the cessations of all types of defilements. Not only defilements, cessations of Nama-rupats. So when we attain Nibbana, no Nama-rupas there anymore, or Nama-rupa cease. Our mind will take Nibbana as an object. Then again, viraga, dissociating with the lust. So, as we have already know, viraga means detachment. In the translation, in the stanza, we have already talked about detachment. No more attachment. Then what does it mean viraga? Here we have 2 different types. Sambayoga, association, aramana, object. So, when we see the name Nibbana, when attaining Nibbana, our minds will not associate with lust or raga. That our mind, or maybe we cannot take Nibbana as with lustful mind also. It's a little bit funny, right? Sometimes people also misunderstand, or Nibbana is a special place where we can live. We can enjoy many things. But actually, Nibbana is a complete cessation of all Nama-rupas. Then there are also some people, they think they can enjoy something. Actually, we have many funny stories about Nibbana, especially in Myanmar, right? Okay, for example, practically, the one lady, she likes smoking. The one people talk about Nibbana, how peaceful and how calm, how tranquil. He explained many things about Nibbana. It's deathless, something like that. Then the lady asks, Pandi, can I smoke in Nibbana? Then the bhikkhu said, no, you cannot smoke. But there's no Nama-rupa, how you can smoke? Then she said, if I cannot smoke, I cannot go to Nibbana. I don't wish to go to Nibbana. Sure, if we wish to do something, sure, it's not Nibbana. Sometimes we expect something superior, something better, something competition. In Nibbana, no competition. We cannot say success or failure. We cannot say achievement or failure. Nothing in Nibbana. Everything is cessation. No more Nama-rupas. How can we achieve? How can we fail? No more failure, no more achievement. Finish. So with lustful mind, we cannot attain Nibbana. Actually, not only Nibbana, I think now many of listeners have already practiced anapanasati. If you are greedy, if you are in a hurry, you cannot calm down your mind, you cannot focus on the breath easily. You cannot improve your anapanasati also. So here viraga means the mind will not associate with raga when we attain Nibbana. Not only that, with the lustful mind, we cannot take Nibbana as the object. These are called viraga. Also, we also say kayam viraga amadam, right? Amadam is deathless. Everybody knows deathless. That means no more death. So after passing away for an arhat, there's no more rewards. Their namarupa cease totally. So this means deathless, no more death. So if we have to be born, we have to die. There is a nature. But now, in the case of Nibbana, after passing away, realizing Nibbana, at Arhat, there no more rebirth, totally deathless. Can we look at Panidam, sublime, also mentioned, right? Sublime. We can also say it's a superior. So sometimes we have different attachments. Always a superior. If we don't know it's a superior, we will not. We don't wish to do. We don't wish to practice. If we know it's a superior, we wish to achieve it. But Nibbana is a superior, although there's no detachment, or there's no more horizon. This is a superior one. Then again, everybody does Sakyamuni Samahito, right? That's it. Obtained or achieved or realized by the second sake, that means the Buddha, with his concentration. Samahito means concentration. So by the power of concentrations, here especially concentration that associated with path and fruition knowledge. The Buddha has already attained all this Nibbana as an object. This is also called Dhamma Ratana. Sakyamuni Samahito, right? By the power of concentration, the second sake, the Buddha, realized the supreme Dhamma, Nibbana. Then also mentioned Nadina Dhamina Samadhi Kenji is incomparable. That means we cannot compare anything with Nibbana. For example, what does Nibbana look like? We cannot say. I remember in one book about, I think it's something to talk about the Buddhism. Not only one book, many people mentioned that story. The first one said, I have just read the translated by Dr. Montemo. Another one is Dr. Kesri Dhammananda, one of Sri Lanka Mahathira. There's you may have known that story also, I think. You know, there's a tartar and a fish. You can also know the tartar can go on the land, like other can swim in the water. The fish can survive only in the water, cannot go on the land, in the dry land. One day, the tartar visited in the dry land after they're coming back. Then he met his friends, fish, in the ocean, and asked, "Oh, Mr. Tartar, long time no see. Where have you been?" "I have been to dry land." "What's the dry land?" "Where's the dry land?" "Oh, I cannot explain, but I have been to dry land." "Okay, is it like a wave?" "No, it's not like a wave." "Okay, I can swim in the dry land?" "No, you can swim in the dry land." Because he just compare dry land with water. These two are opposites. Now, whatever the fish asks, the tartar have to answer no. Finally, the fish said, with a reply or response. "Calm man, you say dry land, but there's no dry land, right? No such thing in this world." But the tartar just replying simply, "Okay, I cannot explain where's the dry land, where's the dry land, but it's not the place you have ever been to. We cannot say it doesn't exist. Similarly, Nibbana is this place we have never been. But we cannot say it doesn't exist." Okay? So, this is discovered by the Buddha. Also, distributed by the Buddha, guided by the Buddha, we can practically see and experience Nibbana. That's why it's incomparable. So we cannot compare Nibbana as a human realms or Deva realms or Brahma realms or anything. Don't compare. It will be same to turtle and fish. Sometimes when people ask something about Nibbana, right? Mostly I'm a little bit hesitant to answer this kind of question. What is Nibbana? Then it was very messy, very complicated. When they ask this kind of question in Pao Doya, I just replying very simply. Okay, it's very far from you. It's not practical. Okay, now I'm trying to know the breathing. It's more practical. Now you should ask how to know breathing. It's more practical. What is the Nibbana? It's just, you may know only theoretical, only ideology. You may think only ideology is useless for you. But knowing Anapanasati is more practical, more useful for you. Then, now here also we have to know this stanza, talk about the Buddha explained in this stanza about Nibbana. Yes, the quality of Nibbana mentioned in this stanzas. If somebody asks, how can we know the quality of Nibbana? Trying to read this stanza again. You can know the quality of Nibbana. Okay? So maybe this is the last part, right? What the next slide is the next stanza, right? The next slides? Slides? Changing the slides? Next stanza already, right? Okay. Okay, now okay, maybe tomorrow the next stanza. We should stop here, right? So today we just talk about the quality of the Buddha, the Buddha's jewel. Also, we have talked about the first part of jewel, Dhamma jewel. So we have to continue Dhamma jewel again. After that, we have to continue Sangha jewel. So actually, as I have mentioned yesterday, this is a Vajjisattva. By telling the truth, we determine something to become. If we have very strong faith, if we have very deep understanding of Ratanasutta, if we can chant or if we can practice practically, then it will be effective. It can be incomparable jewel for everybody. So that means when we want to get normal jewel, external jewel, we had to pay money. It was very high price. When we had to get Buddha jewel or Dhamma jewel, we have to use our hearts and our wisdom. If our hearts are ready to accept, if we are wise enough, we can use the jewel. Our investment is a little bit higher than ordinary jewel, but it costs nothing. We just use our mind power and our wisdom. It's possible to get all these jewels. May you all be able to practice the 3 trainings in order that to obtain any of the jewels. Okay?
Okay, the first question. Dear Sayadaw, today Sayadaw explained about how precious is Buddha jewel, and we also understand how difficult it is to have a nimitta and not easy for one to practice, be successful in practice. There are many people who tend to criticize the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and criticize many meditators, even themselves are not very successful in the practice yet. As Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the good practitioners are very precious, would those who always criticize accumulate strong unwholesome when they are doing so? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so, empty buzzer makes more noise. Right? You may know that this proverb, right? Empty buzzer makes more noise. This is normal. Sometimes sitting and talking without practicing. Then, of course, if we just reject many valuable things, later, when we are going to practice, when we have difficulty, right? So this is their karma we're going to have. Sometimes they are not ready to accept our help also. Right? We're going to do anything. Let them do what they like. Okay, this one.
Dear Sayadaw, Venerable Sayadaw, please Sayadaw advise. 1. Is it true devotion also loba mental state? Number 2, can we say who can attain path and fruits knowledge? We say there are also Sangha, because Sangha also Ratana. Sadhu, thank you very much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
It's a true devotion, also loba mental states. These two are a little bit different. Okay. That means if it's a true devotion, we're going to say this is loba mental states. Devotion is a kusala, loba is a akusala. Devotion is a wholesome, loba is unwholesome. We're going to say together, right? We're going to say they are the same. Then 2. That one is actually, when we have attained path and fruition knowledge, we have very strong devotion to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Then we can also attain 3 jewels at the same time. Okay?
If someone in the past, he has already attained Magaphala, and this life he reborn as a human. So in this life, would he automatically by himself know he is who is an Arya, and how he would know? So this is the first question. Second, during Anapanasati practice, the mind at the touching point knows the breath. Although the breath is moving, but the mind, should the mind maintain unmoved and quiet, maintain the although the mind is moving, should the mind kept unmoved and quiet? The mind is not moving and quiet. So is this conditions to attain jhana? So the question after the retreats, this meditation retreats, in the future, through which how should he continue to get instructions from Bande?
The first question is about?
First question, past life already attained Magaphala. This life become human. How would he know he's the Arya? And
okay, sometimes when they have a moha, they can forget they have attained path and fruition knowledge, but for them it's easier to reveal, to realize they have attained path and fruition knowledge. Okay, so later actually they have some statements in the Ratanasutta. But then I will explain that one, right? Then another one is anapanasati. Actually, your mind and the breathing should be harmonious. For example, your breathing will be moving here and there, changing the touching point. You can focus on the breathing, wherever it touch around nostril. So in the very beginning, we call jala samadhi. That means it's unstable concentrations. You also ask how is possible to attain jhana, right? Actually, when you are focused on the breathing, it's not the time you can focus, you can practice, you can attain jhana. When you can see the nimitta, when you can focus on the nimitta, you can attain jhana. These two are two different situations. What about instructions? Actually, for Anapana practitioners, as long as you can know breathing, no mistakes. Although you don't have instruction, it doesn't matter. Right? Then you have got, I think some recorded fine. Now, there are many people, they may have similar difficulty. There will be some solutions. I've already explained. Although you don't get instruction from me, it is enough for you. Right? Then, okay, next one.
First question, Pancha Khanda and Panchupadana Khanda, what are the difference? And second, he used to hear one Bande's Dhamma talk saying that if he cannot chant the Pali versions of Tisarana Gamana, then this tisarana, this taking refuge, is invalid, not effective. So can he understand in this way? Tisarana must be taken by Pali version. But the question is, Tianrenzi, is it true that the Deva can only understand Pali language? That's why when we chant the Pali versions, the language other than Pali versions of Parita, the Deva will not protect us.
Sure. Okay, we can say like that, sure. The last part is I also approve, right? The last part. Okay, now the first part about
Panchakanda and Panchupadana Kanda.
Okay. Panchakanda and Upadana Kanda. Actually, okay, one more thing. For example, the Buddha and Arhat, they have Panchakanda, but their khandas are not the object of Upadana. That's why not Upadana Kanda. So for Anagami, Sakaragami, Sodapana, and ordinary people, we have Panchupadana Kanda, because our aggregate are the object of clinging. Right? That means for the clinging, we may take that body as an object, the aggregate as an object. That's why it's called Upadana Kanda. What about this sarana? Of course, if we can chant in Bali, is more meaningful. What about billet or imbillet? Also, this is also one thing. Sometimes we just chant verbally, no faith in the mind, also imbillet. Right? All the devotion does not come from the mouth, it comes from the heart. That's why this one we have to consider. Well, the last part, if we chant Buddha, it should be in Bali. Because the Buddha deliver all these things in Bali, that's why they will understand in Bali. Right? That's why it will be more meaningful if we can chant Buddha in Bali. Also, as I have mentioned before, we must know how to punctuate. Also, we must know Bali grammar, grammatical analysis. We also have to know the meaning and so forth. Okay. Okay, this one.
Yes, Yado. Sampadichana is Mano Dhadu. Sandirana is Mano Vinyana Dhadu. Is that so? In this way, Sandirana, does that mean Sandirana has one more Chetasika called Piti Chetasika as compared to Sampadichana? So can we say Sandirana start to have the power of differentiations? That's why it is called Mano Vinyana Dhatu.
Actually, we cannot divide like this. Right? When we talk about Mano Dhatu, Mano Vinyana Dhatu, just given the name of the mind moment. Okay, we should not analyze more than that. For example, when we study Anandara Pachayo, they are mentioned Mano Dhatu, Dansamana Dhamma, Mano Vinyana Dhatu, yeah. Transformana Dhammana, Ananda Pachena Pachayo. We have that kind of statements, right? Nandara, Samanandara, both. So when we have this kind of statements, then we have to understand this. The first one is Sandirana, second one is Samplichana. They are Anandara. So for this purpose, we can categorize. This is a Samplichana, this is a Sandirana. This is a Manodha, this is a Manodhadu. So we should not talk about BT or any other thing. Okay? This is not that much meaningful for that kind of analysis. Okay, next one.
Dear Sayadaw, about Vitaka and Manasikara Chetasika, can he understand that Vitaka is Vitaka first find the object and then Manasikara 是这个目标。Manasikara is to let the objects to appear, and then the mind forwards to the object and connect with the objects together, so that the mind can continuously appear, so that it can appear continuously in the mind.
Actually, Vitaka and Manasikara can arise at the same time. Whenever Vitaka arises, Manasikara also arise at the same time. They arise simultaneously. That's why we're going to say Vitaka first, Manasikara later. Right? This is unreasonable. So in one mind moment, both Vitakka and Manasika can arise. So Vitakka will direct the mind to see the object. Manasika also pay attention to the object. They work together to know the object. Etawadaja amehi sambadam punya sambadam sabbe dewa numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe satta numodandu sabba sambati siriyam idam me nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyatayo dhamme nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyatayo idame nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyatayo idame bunyam asawakaya waham hodu idame bunyam nibbanasa pajayo hodu mama bunya bhagam sabbasatanam bhajemi me sabbe me samam bunya bhagam labandu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.